Greetings, salutations. Another episode of Fangs up here, and man, we had a great conversation about FAMU kind of moving around. Hopefully, you're watching the flashback baseball, kind of doing a little homage to Willie Mays. But got a question: should these HBCUs be doing a little barnstorming? Relates to something we had a good conversation on last week, actually. I guess it's last week. Might be Saturday, Sunday, whatever. Either way, though, y'all know we're gonna get into this. Let's things up.
Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started. Are you kidding me? Unreal!
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Does he have it? Yes, he does! And that might be the knockout punch.
All right, greetings and salutations. Did not know that was gonna show up like that. But question of the day: to barnstorm or to not barnstorm? And honestly, complete happenstance as far as the subject matter. Um, what's up, little baby? Just kind of following up a little bit on something we talked about. Credit to Mike from Just Looking Out. He brought us some great points, some good ideas. Yeah, I know I'm a little bit of a data guy. So, so that's a question. If you don't know what barnstorming is the history or the tradition of teams going from place to place. And we especially saw this in like Negro League Baseball and other sports like that, where the teams literally go from city to city. Think of your modern day Harlem Globetrotters, or if you are a baseball fan, the Savannah Bananas. Literally, they barnstorm. They go from place to place. They play there. They do have their designated quote unquote home, but they also have the places where they go to get the money. What's up, Demetri? What's up, Terry T? So that's my question, y'all. And I ain't gonna lie, the graphic look kind of good. I did put a little work on that. And if you are so inclined, look, y'all already know St. Clair Moraine tomorrow, 6 o'clock, Hallelujah 95. Not a lot of FAMU talk this time. A little more um, outside of the FAMU world this week, but we're gonna come back with a vengeance pretty soon. So be prepared and look, make sure next week be here. I got a special guest working on a second one, but it's hot in them HBCU streets right now. Also, if y'all didn't notice, FAMU volleyball, they still got their camps coming up. Football camp was this week. Videos look so good from what I've seen. I'm excited. That's a great recruiting tool, and it's a moneymaker. So, you can see. Now, last one, and look, my pops, he was like, hey, I said, yes, sir. The rings are in. As you saw, as I mentioned, I told y'all AD Sykes in the um, booster meeting said that they're going to be doing the rings again. Get them while you can, honestly. The way she explained it was pretty much they try to give them a chance to get the orders out, get caught up, then they take more orders. So they're not just doing those national championship rings. They're also doing the golf rings, which I ain't gonna hold you. Man, I like the golf ring better. I like the golf ring a little better. It go a little bit better with my 7. But I'm just saying. Look, I don't know if I want the pennant. I like the ring a little better with like a real heavy chain or something. I don't know. Now, a little bit before we jump into the topic this jour or whatever you want to call it. But look, again, FAMU coaches, it's what you do. You over here seeing the S2F camp at Florida State University. Gave a big shout out to Coach Tamika Kinchin from FAMU. That's what you do, Coach. Like, just saying. Oh, look, the little baby say, I'm working to get both finished. I ain't mad at you. I got a thing about necklaces. Look, I ain't gonna lie. I'm wearing my line one, but it's it's a little more sturdy. I look at that little top piece there, and I don't know. But this is what you do. Like you get the coaches involved, get them out off campus, try to get them paid. Don't know if y'all caught ONG yesterday. Brian brought up something, and it kind of speaks to like a FAMU tradition. So that predates Larry. Of sometimes you work for FAMU, sometimes you don't get paid by FAMU. It kind of is what it is. If you work for FAMU, it's one of them IYK situations. If you know, whatever donations you make to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University are just that. But Florida State, somewhat similar. They just not as egregious. But yeah, kind of is what it is. But look, basketball. All right, coach. I talked a lot. I asked. You're not wrong, Brian. Look, Brian, I saw you was over there. Look, next Thursday, I'm gonna I'm gonna call a favor. I would definitely love to have Brian on the show as well. But look, we finally offered a big man. Like, do I think he's committing to FAMU? Hell no. But did we offer? Hey, 6'11", 328 center, guy from overtime, elite out of Atlanta, Georgia, 4-star prospect. Hey, don't give me hope. Like that's all I'm saying. Because if you're starting to pull in some of these kids as far as getting offers out like this, which honestly, I can't tell you the last time FAMU offered uh, a kid of this caliber early. And look, I'm with you. Nothing fails but a try. Look, this is what you need to do. Like, one, get the offers out early, but two, you really, as a athletic department, several athletic departments need to get on the SWAC as a conference about the scheduling. Like, namely, fixing when you play your rivals. Like, stop just flipping the schedule to where we play Cookman when nobody's on campus. That's dumb. You're missing money. The schools are missing money. It's an opportunity that everybody's losing out on. But in order to get these kind of kids, you gotta get that NIL going. If you didn't catch ONG last night, they talked about the basketball NIL. We're gonna see. We're gonna reach out to them and see if we can get some, potentially get them to come in and talk about it. Need Fang exchange up here too, but need y'all talking about these NILs and what you're doing, because honestly, that's the only way we find out. Like, if you don't say it, we don't find out. So just calling a spade a spade. You have to tell this audience what you're doing and how organized you are. Because full disclosure, very seldom do you have two NIL teams in the same place. Like, very rarely do you see where a school has two NILs. We've seen it at across the street. What's up, Gail? Look, Orlando Rattlers right there. Look, there you go. Y'all saw they had a nice Juneteenth thing. I ain't got the pictures ready. I didn't download the pictures, but go check them out on their Facebook page. Also, there's a link from the Florida region on their Twitter page to what they did here in Orlando at the City Beautiful. But you got to get one of the NILs. Got to become the one. We saw where because what ended up happening across the street, one had their stuff together, another didn't. And the one that didn't pretty much got banned. And they got a coach in some trouble. So, Alex Atkins wore that for the program. But you can see where the Rising Spirit is the one that won out over the other one. So the battle's in. Is the other one of them? Anyways, it's all about FAMU. So, but this is how you get players that 6'11", 328 center. You don't think a guy like that would dominate the SWAC? Like, not trying to poo-poo on the conference as a whole, but you get 6'11" plus a couple other guys with some size, and we can see we have a coach who's trying to fill the cup. He's trying to score. Like, going to be them days of us just playing defensive basketball. Like, we supposed to do a little bit of running and gunning. Like, You got to get this NIL going, but you're also going to have to get people to come to the games. Make this something that they want to watch. Like, do more than that little bougie VIP thing where you take out seats. Now, put the band back there. Put the VIP up there behind the band up top or somewhere in that corner by the elevator. Like, do that kind of stuff. But don't take out a whole section of seats and have like a little black area. Not when you don't have black seats. Because it's not that it hasn't been done before. Like, if you went to the UCF game, they pretty much did the same thing. They took out a section of seats, had a nice little VIP area, and you could enjoy the game in that section. But I don't know. That's just me. Look, did Shannon Grant dominate the SWAC? Hey, just saying. Just saying. You know, we get a little bit of size when we run it up and down the court and actually scoring. Might be some fun to be had. I'm just, asking for a friend. Let's make it a better, more exciting environment. Because, yeah, we can see that $600,000 games for the $30K that he's supposed to get. None of those are at the Lawson Center, except for Presbyterian. And only time I hear about Presbyterian is about how they got mollywopped by Georgia Tech way back in the wind. So, just saying. Now, football-wise, look, did y'all see transport was good at FAMU? About 27 players in. I think Gerald talked about 200 student athletes on campus for the FAMU camps. I'm just saying, look, I ain't no mathematician, and I don't pretend to be one. Look, we've been doing summer camp for 2 weeks, and every time the kids hit me with the, can you help me with math? No, not if you want the right answer. I'm social studies. But, God created calculators, and I ain't above using that. So we're going to say 60 times 200, a nice little $12,000. I'm just saying, you got to take my word for it. Y'all know I argue with data. That's an extra $12,000. I'm just saying, that'll pay an assistant. That'll pay a couple assistants. Like, you pretty much paid the salary of some of your assistants by doing a football camp. I'm just saying, the math. Like, is that all net profit? Absolutely not. You're probably going to spend about half of that. But at the same point, $6,000? Okay. Still, you can't tell me that you can't do that over a couple other sports. Coach, I'm looking at the basketball coaches trying to see, can we get y'all on this next? Because the football team just made $12K in a couple days. Just saying. It's just like, and look, they did. I remember, Mike, I saw that. I really think, only thing, we got to fix the color scheme. I'm just saying. Look, how long will it take to get that money? You're petty. Oh, Brian, you are petty. But the Marfin Street's been hot. And again, FAMU is seriously committed to defensive linemen. 6'5", 215-pound defensive lineman from Western High School from Davie, Florida. So we committed to two things: defensive line, offensive line. Oh, I forgot one more. And South Florida. We need South Florida talent. And is this a guy that can turn into another Isaiah Land? I mean, that's the honest question. And really part of the question is in the changing build of your football lineman. I mean, when's the last time you saw a defensive end that looked like Reggie White out there that was dominant, like in modern football? You're not seeing a lot of that. You're seeing a lot more. What's my boy from Jacksonville? Allen? Look, went to Kentucky. Man, see, you're killing me on this one. Let me see. Josh Allen. I thought so. I want to say his name right. Josh Allen. Josh Allen, like, not poo-pooing on the guy, because told y'all, I'm a UK fan. Josh Allen, 6'5", 255. Like, that's a big dude. But you start thinking about that size-wise, That's not 6'5", 280. Like Reggie White, God rest the dead, was a big dude. I was trying to see if I could find his height, weight, size. 6'5", 295. You're not seeing that kind of booking anymore very often. Honestly, you're seeing those guys more so tackles, stuff like that. And they're both DNs. White does slide down to tackle at time. But so you're seeing this 6'5", 215, you're like, oh, he's a little light in the draws. Well, wasn't that pretty much the weight Isaiah Lane was playing at when he was at FAMU? And now he is up to about 230. Like, just saying, like, is he huge? No. But is he still effective? And is he on Brian's favorite football team, whose quarterback just happens to be a good brother from Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated? Absolutely. They got him at 6'4", 225. So add another 10 pounds, and you got Isaiah Lane. And look, told y'all, I argue with data, so I don't mind showing my data. I don't mind showing my work. Reggie White, 6'5", 295. Josh Allen, 6'5", 255. So just within about a decade, the position has completely changed. So what's up, Edwin? Hey, we're going to get into good trouble today, boy. Because I am on my stuff today. Now, we did get a commitment. Look, Christian Wingfield, he's the big red that ONG was talking about last night. 6'6", 335, offensive lineman, Austin P. I mean, I did ask that question. I didn't ask it in day chat, but I'm pretty sure that other offensive line we had, yeah, man, I don't know where he at, but I would say, what's up, Ashley? Look, got to get you up here to talk about the Fang exchange. I know y'all busy, y'all got stuff going, so just definitely gonna need y'all up on here sometime soon. But look, question of the day is, and Mike brought up the conversation, what about should FAMU be doing a little barnstorming? Okay, Mike didn't bring that up, but that's where I took it because I'm a bit of a nerd. Like, so I didn't know the technical term. So to barnstorm or not, and my real question is, should FAMU play some more games away from campus? I kind of think yes, but with that, and look, I'm with you, yeah. I don't know how we signed all these players. I talked to somebody earlier today, and I was like, bro, are we done signing people? And they were like, you know what, I don't even know. But the question was us playing in some different locations. And I like the idea. I think one of the things that you should really look at when you're playing in different cities, though, frequency. Because one of the problems we had, or I noticed, let me say it like that, was we play in the same places. And after a while, the game gets old. Like, y'all go to the place once, twice, maybe 3 times. After the third time, you're done with it. You're tired of playing in that same place over and over again. And I'm going to bring up that FSU contract because Mike brought it up. Look, Google's your friend. LSU left it out there. I'm going to tell you why FSU got the kind of bread they got and why we get the bread we get. So I'm going to definitely show that, and I will, as long as they didn't take it down, and I put the link in here, I'm going to put the contract up there so y'all can see it. You ain't got to believe nothing Key says. But if you aren't familiar, the question was mentioned. Let's see. We had a lot of graduates replaced, and someone that's just not on team. You're not wrong. Look, here we go. So one of the questions about some of our classes in the past, one of the first stops we talked about was Jacksonville. And I'll fix my order on here. Y'all can't see the order, so you don't care. But I looked at that, and we played an Orange Blossom Classic there. I was there. I was like, why do I feel like I've been to the Orange Blossom Classic before I got older? Like, as a kid, because we never traveled to Miami as a family. That was just, it was too far. Just, we would do Atlanta. But for those who don't know, look, Tallahassee to Miami, that's an 8-hour ride, baby. I'm not doing that. Go back and watch the video of that game. Go look at the attendance. Um, and look, it's not pretty. We're in the Gulf Coast era. So sorry, consider the era, consider the time. We're in the Gulf Coast era. The video's on YouTube. And so again, I told y'all, I argue with data. I was at this game. There was a crowd recorded of 12,000 people in Jacksonville. Um, so, and if we have 12, we should definitely play in a new city every year. Las Vegas, DC, Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, and Dallas should be in play. I agree. Um, and then you can get one of those Dallas stadiums for cheap. Uh, just saying. But one of the things that we got to be looking at, sometimes you got to look at your history. And I get the push for Jacksonville, especially if the stadium is going to be new. Now, I don't have all the tea on why we only had 12,000 people at that game, because I remember going to that game. I remember us beating the hell out of South Carolina State, and we left early. Um, like we left real early. Like that was one of those things where I want to say my mom was like, we should go to Jenkins, and we had already passed, and it was like, my dad's like, I ain't going back. We didn't left early. This game's a mollywhopping. And I think that's one of the things when we're looking at, again, potentially being barnstormers and picking new cities. One, and I love what EA mentioned, we got to get these pre-sales, and we have to make sure that we set up these contracts to where we are not getting effed over. Like, and look, it's the Orange Blossom / Palmetto Classic, September 16th, 2000. Check the attendance. If you don't believe me, that's all right. I stand on numbers. 12,200 people was a recorded attendance in a stadium that sat at the time about 70. I remember that mug being empty. Like, and I was like, I mean, I was happy to be there. It was FAMU. Like, again, we drove from Tallahassee to go to Jacksonville. But, and I think some of the benefit you get though, JR Lee is strong. Like as an alumni chapter, they should be chapter of the year, respectfully. And I'm not a Jacksonville resident. I don't like. I was like, I didn't want to say I'm not a Jacksonville guy because I like things in Jacksonville, namely the arena football team, even though they're trash this year. But I like Jacksonville. Could you get, as AEA mentioned, the pre-sales going, but then also you got to get the 100 there, which, if I remember correctly, 100 was at that game. But you also have to get a contract written to where your stuff isn't tied to ticket sales. And you're going to get tired of me saying that. And that was something I kind of harped on last time, because this is going to be your secret to the sauce of why FSU got 5 mil and FAMU gets about 500,000 guaranteed. Well, FAMU Cookman split 500,000 guaranteed. Now everything else after they get that 500 is just bonus money. But like you're also likely barely in your teens last time we played South Carolina State and Jacks. Look, I'm with you, but the data, like I went to the game. I pulled the video up. I just took it down because it slowed my computer down. And I think we should try to return to that, but we just have to make sure with those kind of games, you're being careful about how many tickets you have to sell, because part of this is pre-sale. A lot of this is TV. Like TV money is a huge part, but some of this is also who owns these classics. And we've heard this before, but that's a vitally important part of who makes the money, how the money gets broken up, and how it gets distributed. Because we started talking about what Jacksonville will be. Yo, that stadium's gonna be fire. Like, these are the renderings of the new stadium, and it's gonna be nice. Indoors, pretty much. Like, really great facility. But at the same point, you got to make sure that whatever it is, you, the promoter, whoever owns it, you got to make sure that that stuff is paid first before you get everything else. Like, just saying. And you just don't schedule the same Saturday. Look, could, could. I don't know how that would affect them. I don't know if that would be crazily my concern. But again, that's what the area is supposed to look like. But in the next, after this year, they're coming to Orlando. So that's something where you do have the benefit of being able to project ahead. But if you're having that benefit, you have to do as EA mentioned. You got to get the ticket sales going earlier. You have to make it an event, but you also have to make it something where it's a something that people want to watch. It's got to be a matchup that you want to watch on TV, and that means you may have to take away one of your marquee games away from Bragg. And not to mention, y'all do know the football schedule is pretty much done for the next couple of years. Like, so as much as we fuss about that 1.5 million, about 1.5 billion for the OVC, the ladies' hands were kind of tied because I mean you could move out of some games, but some of these games you can move out of that game. I mean, University of Miami's paying you 700,000. Granted, they ain't paying for the band and some other stuff, but you gonna back out that contract to play in the same stadium? Like, now you could have negotiated for like some of these other games, but I just saying, I'm putting that out there. Now another place, look, and we starting to see the rumblings. Tennessee State. Look, and this is from the Celebration Bowl. I would hope that this game would be in the bins, just because a lot of times when that game was played, it's get a little chilly in Atlanta. Now you could play at the Georgia State Stadium, but it just, to me, it feels better if the Atlanta Classic is in the dome. Like, it's a better vibe. This is pretty much pregame before the game starts, before all y'all got in there. This is obviously during the game. You can see like it was a great venue. Is a great venue. I think that's a game that, and as you're seeing, Tennessee State's trying to get back on there. FAMU's pretty much hearing it. That's a game that's a good draw, but it's also a really great location, but it's got a good history. Like, some of the things when we're looking at where FAMU does and doesn't travel, you got to look at proximity to fan base, and then how many walk-ups you're going to pull up. But then, again, what's it going to look like on TV? Because some of y'all are already saying attendance don't matter. I can show you where you're wrong. and I will show you where you're wrong. Like, because I thought they played in Chicago before. It was a Riverfront Classic. 23,000. It's an NFL stadium. Now with the Circle City, I'm here for it. That was mentioned. Look, now with some of that, you got the prime factor. Now, is it Deion Sanders? No. It was actually Doug Williams. That Grambling team won the SWAC. 57,000. Look, Brian was just talking about this on Dr. Cavill's show, actually. So it's funny. I didn't tell him I was going to bring up Circle City Classic, but 58,000 people, and this is a nice venue. Like, look, excuse the fuzzy picture a little bit, but that was the Billy Joe era. FAMU was hot. Grambling was hot. Honestly, I think that would be a great place for that FAMU Jackson State game, honestly. Like, I think Mike put that out there. Like, and we've seen that before. Like, that's a pretty good venue, good draw, and it's a place with a good history and a good tradition. It's something that you could easily sell that product. And look, I think they would love it. I mean, it was Kentucky State last year? I forget who it is this year. I think it's Mississippi Valley State this year in the Circle City Classic. You can't tell me Indianapolis would not get behind that, especially you already got a Rattler on the roster. So it's not like something that it markets itself. Just see one of the things you could do. See if FAMU or Jackson State will give up that home game. I would definitely approach FAMU about it, because you sell them on, this is what you're going to make. This is how much you're going to make here. and we'll do this and we'll do that. And you talk about FAMU's history in Circle City Classic. I just think that's something huge. I think that would have been bigger when TC wasn't the coach. But oh, thank you, Norfolk State, North Carolina Central. Appreciate it. Which honestly, that might not be a bad game. I don't know about the turnout, but again, that's one of those things. It's got a name, it's got some recognition to it, and we're seeing where some of these games. Look, Cookman, they came to Jackson State parts sometimes because they have to. They've taken Southern over to Jacksonville, but I think with some of these classics with a little bit of cachet, I should say, I think that looks even better, especially when I can point to you and say we have a history of a great turnout here. When I look at Miami, I can say, hey, we got a good turnout. I look at Jacksonville. That last turnout, I was a kid. It was trash. It's like, again, I was there. Pull the video up. You're going to watch it. You were like, yeah, okay. I think that's some of the conversation we have. And yeah, you do want to keep those 4 home games at least. I mean, 3 home games sucks because one of them's homecoming. The other 2 are just games nobody wants to watch. But I mean, if you give me 4 good home games, and you ain't got to have 5, and take that one of that 5th one and kind of see if you can shop it around. Like I'm just saying. And look, FAMU and TSU. I think that would be fun. I think you probably get a little more TSU than FAMU there, but I don't know. Like that's not a bad one though. I like that suggestion right there. Now the other one with Chicago, I don't know, man. Like, granted, they had a pretty good turnout, but again, my question comes back to it was like 23,000 last year, if my notes are correct. But my only question with that is, do you want to go there? Like after what Valley just kind of had that situation, like was it all on the people in Chicago? No, not at all. But my thing is this from a PR perspective, from a FAMU supporter, I ain't following nobody who got bad press because if the bad press fell that way for Valley, the worst case is going to happen to FAMU. I'm sorry, I got no faith that we're going to get any good press out of nothing. And it's not speaking ill of the classic itself, but on the other side of that, I think you playing that out a few years because while right now the Bears do play at Soldier Field, they are another one like the Jaguars. They're getting a brand new stadium, and it's going to be right there at Grant Park. If you haven't been to Chicago, Grant Park's big as heck. It's pretty. It's a nice little place to look at, especially from a tour bus. But they're getting a new stadium, and I think that's kind of one of the things, as Brian kind of hinted at, and he mentioned when you're talking about Dallas, Vegas, hit some of those places with like new stadiums. So now that's something that you get the double side of your players get the NFL experience, but they get the NFL experience in a new venue. And it's a place that, oh crap, maybe in its first or second year, you're getting fans who are wanting to come out just to partially see the venue. And look, I'll say it like this. I don't care why you're coming to see FAMU. As long as you're coming to see FAMU and you ain't trying to do nothing crazy, look, once you buy that ticket, that check is cleared, we're good. You can come in there, walk around the stadium the whole time for all I care. Just make sure when the game is playing, you ain't doing nothing stupid and the check clears. I think those are some of the ideas that you might be able to use, take advantage of some of those things. Like just saying, Nashville is supposed to get a new stadium. And I think Tennessee State's supposed to play in that one too. I could be wrong. So, like, and look, 3-year cycle, A&T, Tennessee State, South Carolina State. I love it. Like, look, I stay on stuff. Now the other ones, because we did have some other places where we had some success, man. Like Detroit was pretty successful back in the day, and I think part of that it was the novelty of it. Like some of the problems we have with these recurring classics, they get old. Like I said myself, FAMU's playing the University of Miami this year. I don't have to go to that game. I've been to the OBC. I think it's a fun event. We had a chance to win. I'm not driving 2.5, 3 hours, getting a hotel, going to the game, taking the wife and the kids, doing Dave and Buster's, all this other stuff, and getting waxed by 60 points. No, no, not gonna do that. Like, you can't get and entice me to do that. Now, Atlanta, Norfolk State, I kind of like that idea. I might do it, might not. Like, and yeah, I think Orlando's old. I live here. Yeah, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. The last couple classics, I mean, granted, I went to it because I worked it, but the one before that, we have watch parties. Like, my family literally will come down to Orlando, go there Friday, and then go to watch the game as a family at a watch party because it's just more comfortable. And so, yeah, I do think Orlando is run its course, but at the same point, it's a central location and it's a better location for me, just as far as like logistically for like not even FAMU and Cookman. I think it's a better deal. So, and I think they're doing more than Tampa did. Like, are we getting the best money deal? Nah, not at all. But at the same point, um, some of that's our fault. Like, you can blame Mickey Mouse all you want to, and part of the reason you got the money you got from the Florida Classic is because of who owns the Classic. Like, it ain't all of what we think it is. Some of it is the fact that we own the Classic and we set our own price. And with that game that FSU and LSU played, the Rat owned that game. And I used your words perfectly and purposely. So, look, I told y'all, I argue with data. So, for the Florida Classic, you go to the website there, and I have it up. So, that's why I'm looking over to the right. And look, Control F is my friend. 500. There we go. Look, because I read over it. So let's see. Get back to this 500 where I can find it. There we go. So I put it up there big so y'all can see it. The schools benefit from revenue obtained from the game and subsequent events around the community. For instance, so this is not them saying this is all you get. This is just saying this is part of what you get. So you do make money off the events going on around the game and other things in the community. But the Orange County Board of County Commissioners awards the Classic $500,000. Pretty much that's your guaranteed money. Everything else, just out there. Like, I'm just saying. So I'm just saying. Now, on the other side here, that's not the one I wanted. I want the contract. Here it is. So this is, and I know I don't normally do this. This is normally more of like a Scotty thing. But you can see January 31st, 2020. You can see right here. This letter serves an agreement entered as of the date set above. So it's between LSU and you can see Louisiana State University. And in this game, LSU and FSU are the talent. ESPN is the promoter. They are the everything on here. You can see, when you read through the contract, and I'll make it big for y'all. You know, for those, some of y'all might need your glasses. You can see right here where they agree to the venue. This is the one in Orlando. This was 3 years before the game happened. So 2020, right up top. The game happens in 2023. Contracts already agreed upon. They already telling you ESPN runs everything. This is, as EA pointed out, guerrilla pimping. So, and they literally, LSU is the visiting team. You will go here. LSU will wear this. FSU will wear this. They are literally detailed to the T of what's going to go on because the mouse is running this. ESPN runs this event. They are telling you who the officials are, and they are telling you, oh, we'll pay for it. ESPN is paying for the officials. The event is owned and will be managed by EPI. Come up to the top here. I'm sorry, I skipped all that. You'll see EPI is essentially ESPN. ESPN Incorporated. So when you come back down, right here, the event is owned and will be managed by ESPN. Oh, here's the money thing y'all are seeing right there. A lot of times we see the dollars. We don't try to set the cents. So right here, EPI and the school will pay $5,100,000, right? The fee shall be paid to the schools in the form or manner of mutual agreed upon by the parties. Okay, that's a lot of money. This is why I kept saying the tickets were a thing. As much as people say tickets don't matter, tickets don't matter, tickets don't matter, bull. The schools agreed to purchase 29,000 tickets each. Each school bought 29,000 tickets at the median price of $182. How much is a Florida Classic ticket? What's the average of the Florida Classic ticket prices? Again, you start to look at this, all of a sudden, yeah, they got paid more, but it was written in the contract. And the average Florida Classic ticket, and I hate to out you, Brian, but we had this conversation. How many free tickets do we give away for the Classic? I know we give away a couple thousand free ones. I can tell you that just for FAMU. I can't tell you for Cookman. But literally, when you go through the contract, it tells you they set a minimum price for the ticket. They tell you how many suites each school is getting. You don't see no 1,000 free tickets in here though. 2,000-3,000 per school. You can see where they allocate 600 student and band tickets, and they have a price, $50 per ticket. Like, you start to look at this. They receive 2 complimentary 16-person suites, not 2,000 tickets, complimentary suites. So pretty much the president, athletic directors, each school, y'all probably sharing a suite. And it also goes on to talk about parking and goes through. And so in this case, part of the reason, we'll go back up, FSU and LSU got that $5 million whatever, because they pretty much sold out the stadium. Stadium seats like 60 plus thousand, almost 70. They pretty much bought all the tickets. And when you go down and read down through the rest of the contract, you start to see if they didn't sell all those tickets, there was a penalty. So yeah, there is the money aspect that they got from TV, and you have the SEC network, you're in the ACC network, both are owned by ABC. But in this event, the other part was you have novelty. LSU and FSU do not play all the time. FSU does not play in Orlando every year. But you also had the point of they were on the hook for those tickets. So, yeah, you got that TV and marketing and all this other piece that kicked in. But you also had the piece of you had to sell those tickets. And that's one of the things I don't think we talk enough about with the Classic. And that's one of the things I'll give credit to my regional VP for the Alumni Association. He's trying to get us to buy more Florida Classic tickets because, as you saw with the Florida Classic Consortium, we getting that 500. That's pretty much going to happen. But then the ticket sales and everything else, bonuses, that comes back to the 2 schools. So yeah, the other schools are getting different money. But one of the things that we have to kind of be careful for, one, like I said, who owns the event? That was one of my questions. And when I looked, I was like, well, we own the Classic. They, ESPN, owned and operated the Classic, or the Camping World Kickoff. That's what the contract said. That's not me. That's nothing I'm saying wrong. It's literally in the writing. Like, you want to go back and look it up? I looked up. I think I looked Camping World Kickoff Classic. Was how I found it. It's on Google, public information, because they're both public schools anyway. But you can start to see that some of the ways, and other people pointed this out, where the Classics struggle and lose money is because of the promoters and making sure that, one, they get their cut, but also giving the schools a different cut. And so we have to make sure when we're setting up our Classics and we're setting up our events that we're making money, because we saw where with the SWAC championship that was in Houston, they lost money for some years. Like, so it's not just about us setting it up, because I agree that we should definitely play in different areas, but we just got to make sure we're smart about that, because we all know to move the 100, it's $100,000. All right, so whoever the promoter is, whoever owns that game, you dropping $200,000 just in bans between the two schools. There's two schools. Might as well say it's 100 apiece. Okay. Then you have to transport the players. You got to feed them, lodge them, all these other things. All that ain't free. And so at a certain point, we have to make sure we're going places where we can have these kind of deals that allow, especially FAMU, like, respectfully, not too worried about the other schools. Like, I'm definitely biased in my desire to want FAMU to excel. But we have to make sure whatever we're getting as FAMU allows us to generate a profit, generate that profit that exceeds what we make at home, but that also protects us in the event you get a Jacksonville situation where, again, 12,000 people showed up. Like, and I get it's not 1990 anymore, but, and I agree, you are what you negotiate. And that's why I say you got to be careful in that part, because that, and what we just saw was the tickets were tied to what they made, because when you read down, it made a difference. Now, at the same point, some of this you do have to finagle the schedule you already have, because FAMU's football schedule is pretty much done until, I think, 27, something like that. Like, I'm just saying, like, so some of this you definitely can move some stuff, but the other parts, it kind of is what it is. Like, and this very reliable source. It just went away. Let me put it back there. There we go. So, and I love this website because they actually do a great job. But check future schedules, and you can start to see, like, all right, 24 is good. 26, you got like 25 is done. 27 is pretty much done. 28, I'm negotiating with Georgia now. I ain't gonna lie. If I'm FAMU, I try to negotiate out of that contract. And I sell it that they don't want to play us. Like, but you can start to see, like, some of these games kind of are where they are. Like I think a game in Vegas could work. I think you sell it as more of an HBCU classic, and I think that's something you make sure you put in Allegiant Stadium. But again, some of that is you got to have those years of planning, because if I know a year or two ahead, hey, this is the schedule, there's a chance you can do some of those things. So, oh yeah, here's a controversial issue. The band has to have their own budget and not come out athletic department budget. The school needs to allocate a budget for them separately. I agree. But at the same point, I think when you're budgeting for the Classic, that's why I said, yes, separate from athletics. But if I'm the person paying for it, I got to pay for both because I know they're not a package deal. Even though AD Sykes has stated that she's trying to allocate a little bit of money for the band, that's really not her job. That's not her department. But whoever is running that classic or that specialty event, they need to allocate for the band, just like you saw with the FSU contract and LSU contract. They allocated for the band. Like, this is 2023. I see the 1990 comment, but at the same point, we got to make sure we're standing on the modern times. Like, as stated, yeah, they owned all of this. You can see the payout. You can see that they had a minimum price for tickets, which they sold at much more than that, especially resale. But you can see 600 band tickets. That's 300 per band at a value of $50 per piece. Like, just saying. So that's why I agree with you. But if the band is going to go, that comes out of that overall classic budget. That's not something that's just the university just cuts the check for. And I'm with you, Will. I've never been to UGA. I do want to go, but that ain't the game I want to see it at. Like, I don't want to go to see FAMU up there. I think that's one of those games where you start to argue. I almost said BCS. That shows how old I am. Playoff and how that affects and adversely affects them potentially getting to the playoffs. But what's up, Calvin? Look, hamburger pimp right there. Look, y'all see it with the tuba. But I think that's one of the things you kind of argue to get out of that deal, because unless they're paying you 700,000 or close to $1 million, like Miami's paying you, I think that you kind of start to look at that thing a little differently, because yeah, that's a lot of money. I mean, this season alone, between FAMU playing Miami and FAMU playing Troy, that's probably $1 million between those two games alone. I mean, the FAMU game is $700,000. You can check me on that. Yeah, I know I stand on data. I didn't have it ready right this second, but best believe. Oh. I stand corrected. I did have it ready. Shoot. Sorry about that. Like I said, I stand on data. So right here, and at the very top, right here, this season, FAMU, who is at the top of the list, tied for highest payout for the season, receiving $700,000 for their game against Miami. Like, do I think we should be playing those games? No. But at the same point, and no, they didn't fool me. I know I wanted to go to the game. My boss at the time bought tickets to the bowl game and this game. So yeah, like, it was even worse on the field. Yeah, I remember how much the tickets were. I was gonna go. Again, I'm a fan, you're an FSU fan. Like, so come on now. Yeah, y'all gotta wake up early to get one over me on them twos. But again, from two games, you're getting about $1 million. Like, between FAMU playing Miami and FAMU playing Troy, that's about $1 million. Is it a game you want? Nah. But look, yeah, over $1 million for two games. And look, never been a game at UF like you. UGA has an amazing atmosphere, but I ain't going there to get my school get mollywopped. I'm like you, because I've never been to UGA. I've done Georgia Tech though. Georgia Tech was fire, and I was there when Florida State lost on that blocked kick where he returned it. I was in that end zone where he returned it to. That was my birthday weekend. Good trip though. My team lost, but it was fun. But yeah, UGA is definitely a bucket list item. But I think that's one of the things you kind of look for. And yet, no band they didn't pay for the band for UM. They just paid for the football team. But I'm pretty sure that the assumption is the band is coming. So I'd be very surprised if the 100 didn't just show up. Unless we can find some way to finagle that. You getting paid $700,000. Yeah, you got 100 in there for the band. Just saying. For Troy, yeah, you might miss 100 on that. That's a bus ride too. 3.5, 4 hour bus ride for Troy, and that stadium don't be filled. No, nah. But yeah, like, and that's kind of my, I don't know, like when I'm looking at what games to move, some of the problems are like next year. I think South Carolina State easy. 26, I don't know what she got up there, but then even then, 27, you can't move UAB and USF. 28, UGA. You can't move some of those games, but in some of those places, can you find a spot for a Tennessee State? And this is where I really feel like you need the conference to kind of come in and, hey, let's have our schedule kind of set up as best as possible. And then that way, if you already know the schedules and the times you're playing with, and I'm pretty sure they kind of, okay, I'm hopeful that they project the schedules years ahead. Um, but if you can just finagle those dates, you can start to work with some of those other teams that are out of conference, the Tennessee States, the North Carolina A&Ts, those teams that your fans would like to see. Because I don't think we should play A&T every year. I'm not gonna lie. When we were in the MEAC, A&T was not a game I had to go to every year. Like, I mean, it was fun. And I mean, they normally had a good running back. But I'm just saying, like, just saying. And look, I'm really with you. Can we get out that UGA game? Like, can we? And to me, the way you negotiate that, and Mike brought up a great point about negotiating. I think the way you negotiate that is you take a settlement for it. And you say, not like a settlement, whatever, but like, hey, I know y'all supposed to pay us this much. Like I said, y'all trying to go to the bowls and all this other stuff, playoffs. You sure y'all don't want to make your schedule a little better by playing somebody different? Look, we could take a payout. I mean, y'all offering us. I don't know what they're offering us. I'm gonna guess 600,000. We'll take three. They pay you 300,000. Then you flip that with another game. They pay you 300,000 to 700,000. All of a sudden, you made $1 million with that one game. Like, just saying. Like the band needs to go to Troy just to see what it's like playing in a Sunbelt environment. Should we eventually end up playing there? Mm, Troy, I don't know, Mike. Troy's ass. I'm sorry. That city's butt. Like, we just rode through there a couple weeks ago. Ain't nothing there. Give you Hampton, Howard, South Carolina State, TSU rotation. I like that. Um, but then with that though, those kids ain't gonna be on the band by the time we move up, if we move up. Like, I think you get a little bit of the fan experience more so than anything. But uh, I don't know what you really get by bringing kids who won't be in that environment if you go to that environment, that exposure. I think you just wrote a check and it's gonna be a poorly attended game. Um, that's my only thing about that. Um, and look, Troy is Troy. Like, good people though. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've stopped in Troy, nice people. But as far as like a destination, Troy, Alabama ain't it. Um, just not for me. I think that money would be better served to send your students to a different game. Just my opinion. Um, you're already doing Norfolk State. Mm, yeah. Um, and then like, why would you bring the band costing 150 plus the FBS expenses from the 600, and you getting 400 from OBC with expenses paid? Just saying. And like I said, part of the thing with the OBC, man, that schedule kind of effed her over. Like, I think that contract was already done for 26. That South Alabama contract for 25, I think, was already done. I could be wrong with some of those. And that UAB 27, I feel like that was kind of new. But yeah, like this year, I don't think you could have backed out of that game in Atlanta. Like, not without some type of expenses. Like, the double side of this, and that's the question. I'm not speaking with authority, but with this year if you could have did the OBC, would you have been able to swap that spot as far as Atlanta, the Classic that they kind of been pushing for a few years, and announce that you were playing in, and have both teams go to the OBC? Because the other piece of that, who owns that game in Atlanta? I haven't seen the contract, but considering it's on ESPN, I'm pretty sure you would see EPI next to that name. I'm just guessing. That is reckless, irresponsible speculation. But I would not be surprised that you saw ESPN probably owns both the MEAC SWAC Challenge and the Celebration Bowl. I would not be surprised. I believe Stephen J. Gaither, he gave a hint that that Celebration Bowl is their game. So I'm just saying, I think it'll be hard for you to just pull out and switch to the OBC when the OBC is not owned by ESPN. Yeah, I know Sister Girl got that. So I think if they owned both, it would have been an easier, maybe more palatable switch. But they know FAMU's a brand. Like, so, and FAMU's a brand that brings people. Like, again, as much as we talk about, again, folks say tickets don't matter. Yeah, I mean, I just showed you a contract that begged to differ, and I also can show you. Again, this was us and Howard. That looked good on TV. Like that was nice. That was watchable. You don't think they want FAMU again? FAMU's got 11 games on TV, not just anywhere. 11 games on ESPN, ABC Family Networks. Just saying. They've already announced the time for the Celebration Bowl. Kickoff is at 12 with the big ABC on there. You don't think they own that stuff? Just saying. It's real coincidence to say they don't own any of that. Look, 11 games, and they make sure they let you know 11 games on ESPN or ABC Family Networks. First games on ABC, ESPN Plus, ACC Network. I pointed this out, owned by ESPN. Everything up here is owned by ESPN. You don't think that they noticed? Y'all show up, y'all put a good market and a good product on TV. Like the 100 is there, the 100 sounds good. So that means 11 games. You got the FAMU brand. You got the Marching 100 at, let's see, we'll count it together. 1, 2, question mark. About what? 3, probably about 5 or 6 of those games you're gonna have 100. Like, so you get the football team. Thank you, Will. Know who the contenders are. But you also get the football team and the band at 6 out of those 11 games. Just saying, one of those games you get the 100 and the Marching Wildcats. And you don't think South Carolina State gonna bring the Marching 101 down? I mean, they should leave them at home. But they can bring them. Like, I'm just saying. Like, and look, JT, the school and the band needs to set a minimum cost to move the 100 for any FBS scheduled game, classics, etc. And the 100 needs to start stronger fundraising. Where is the Marching 100 corporate sponsor? They do have the Alumni Association. I didn't have the QR code ready. You caught me slipping, but they are doing fundraiser for the March 100. But I agree completely that for every game that FAMU plays, there should be a negotiable and say, do you want the 100? It costs this much. Now, I would earmark certain dates just because they're students. Like, don't get me wrong. I get some of y'all don't care. That they're in the band. I want to hit 100. But at the same point, that's a lot. Granted, I get the football teams moving. They move. But at the same point, You asking a lot. When was it Norfolk State? They're going to be Atlanta. South Carolina State home. So potentially the first 3 weeks of the school year, the whole band might be moving. I wouldn't take them to Troy because just I wouldn't. That's just me. Looking at the schedule. So sorry. I told y'all I normally stand on business. I stand on data. I didn't have the data ready so that you could see it. So that first game, absolutely. 100, I got them there. Second game, it's a home game, 100's there. Miami, maybe. Look, that's a maybe. And you already can see the times on there: 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7:30. So these are all night games. Troy, 7 o'clock. Nah, nah. That means I'm moving that band at 1 o'clock in the morning through South Alabama. I'm not doing that. Alabama A&M, yes. Alabama State, I've heard the 100 is supposed to go to that homecoming game. Jackson, no. Southern, yep. Texas Southern, excuse me. Yep. Prairie View, nope. Valley and Cookman, yes. So what's that? 1, 2. That's a heck no. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 out of 11 games, you might have the 100. So 9 or 8 of the 11 football games, you're going to probably have the marching 100 there, and they're going to be on ESPN. You can't tell me that that's not a marketable product. Like, why does FAMU have 11 games on there? Well, because 8 out of those 11 games, I get the football team and I get America's band. Like, and that's not me being a diehard, I bleed orange and green rattler by saying that. That's me looking at it like, oh, shoot, this is going to look good. I can sell this to advertisers. People are going to actually watch this. Like, that's the other piece for me. Like, so, just kind of put a bow on this and to kind of wrap it up, I think, and Mike made the great point, negotiate. I think one of the things we need, both our business person, athletic director, is we have to negotiate. And I love the idea with Southern. We play Southern every year now. That game's gonna get old, respectfully. Like it's not something that I don't like, but we've seen that game's done numbers in Atlanta. Now in Birmingham, that game was fire. Do y'all remember that game? I was at that one too. Like, I think that would be a game that you can put in rotation. Like, and so look, what does that mean for the SWAC road games? How much longer before we get accused of ducking them and starting getting clowned as being flat out broke? Are they gonna pay for the 100 to go? I mean, that's my question. Because that's $100,000 to go to Jackson. Like, I mean, you could probably get a flight from there and back, but at the same point, I don't know how much of it is you ducking them, because when they came down here, respectfully, were they that good? Like, okay. I ain't even asking for a friend. I'm asking for everybody else that was there. Were you impressed with Jackson State in either OBC? Like, the first one I went to, the 100 literally ignored them. They're literally blowing at the 100, and they're like, who the hell y'all talking to? We're going to play our music. Like, it was, we were ignoring them. Like, the 100 was ignoring them. Last year's OBC, the year before that one, granted, the one when we were like falling out and fainting, they got that. The Heat won that. But last year, was Jackson State really that good as a band to where you were like, yeah, it was cold? No. Like, we got y'all in Miami 3 years in a row. You know what? Y'all need a break. You can win by default. We'll give you this. Y'all want to come back to Tallahassee? I'm good. But look, and I like thanking Miss Williams. Back in the day, alumni chapters would feed and help them with housing. I think they still do. I've definitely seen with some do things. Um, FAMU Southern should stay on campus. You sure? I ain't gonna lie. I think that is a great like Circle City Classic. I don't think you do it every year though. I think every third year you move that game to a different city. That's just my perspective. For at least like a couple year run, like make that the Circle City Classic, make that as Mike mentioned that Chicago Classic, make that a game that happens in Chicago, make that because those are two polarizing brands. Like, and the other piece is we're very similar, like people wise, as far as we have very similar situations. You're both in the capital city, you're both in the same city with a large, predominantly white institution. You both have iconic bands, but the bands are very different. And we literally play some of the same songs and they don't sound the same. FAMU plays Do What You Wanna, Southern plays Do What You Wanted. They both sound beautiful, but they don't sound the complete same. I think that's something that you could kind of get out there and you could do that. Maybe throw Jackson State in that rotation. If you can get Tennessee State in there in Atlanta or even Indianapolis, I think that's something that's pretty cool because all of a sudden you're not having to find new games. You're working with your existing athletic directors. And if the SWAC already has a schedule set up, you and the SWAC, y'all can start to be like, hey, this date, this time, can this fit here? And you can also work with the Orange Blossom Classic to say, hey, until this time, and this to me is what FAMU should do. You should get back into the OBC. But what you should do is you should have the conversation with the conference and say, hey, and with your stakeholders and whatever. First week of the season, that needs to be treated the same way y'all treat the Bayou Classic. Straight up. The same way and the same respect you give the Bayou Classic is the same respect we need for the OBC because it gives us this kind of check. And you can schedule a SWAC team, you can schedule a MEAC team, you can do whatever the heck you want. But at the same point, if you're gonna get that OBC back in there and get that guaranteed money like that to where you can kind of work and massage that deal that she had going for you, I think that's the way. And you get the SWAC involved. And you mentioned the same way that you will literally skip the playoffs for the Bayou Classic is the same way that we need week one to figure out the OBC. Like, I'm just saying. Will Southern and FAMU each get the host? I think I would be fine with it. I mean, I would speculate you would get the opportunity to. But at the same point, if the money's right, who cares who's the host? Like, if you're still in a 50-50 split, the host team to me doesn't matter as much as at that point you're exposing the country to your product, your brand, and you're doing it in a way that makes money. So for me, I'm less concerned about who the home and the away team is because certain games, I'm just not gonna be honest, I'm not going to. Like, you put a game in LA, I'm not going. Like, just not. I got two kids, like wife, two kids. If I go, I'm going by myself. Like, but at the same point, I think if it's something to where we know and it's scheduled, and as the conference moves, they know the schedule. Like, the Bayou Classic is going to be this weekend, this place, that area. You save your money to go to that. The Florida Classic is going to be in Orlando at this time and in this place. You're going to save your money for that. I think you get the same benefit by working and planning ahead, opposed to we literally, as I showed y'all, FAMU schedule's done really till 27 for a lot of the games, and your early season games are cooked for this year, next year, and the following year, 26, 27, 28. So for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, like I see 4 years, really 5 years. Your opening week is cooked. Like, I'm just saying, like South Alabama's already on the schedule. That's at a new stadium too. I ain't gonna lie. I kind of want to go to that see the stadium. That's not opening week, so you might be able to slide OBC in that week. Then 27 UAB kind of cooked. 28 very close to opening week. Like, so we're talking 2029, maybe trying to get back on that OBC narcotic, like, and then trying to make it a yearly thing to where it's like FAMU's going to play in these 2 to 3 classics every year. Orange Blossom Classic in Miami, Florida Classic in Orlando, and one other miscellaneous Atlanta or some other classic. Like, Cisco Grove's cooked. I ain't gonna lie. Like, so I hear y'all because I'm with y'all. I want that OBC money too. But she's probably getting about the same from South Alabama. I ain't seen that contract. Speculation, reckless. I'm probably guessing they give you another 600,000-700,000 again. Pretty much what you were getting OBC. I know UAB ain't cutting that kind of bread though. That's a new stadium too though. And USF's probably gonna be. Are they gonna be in the new stadium by then? I don't know, or close to it. So yeah, like, and look, schools and fans are upset the 100 don't travel. The Marching 100 helps the atmosphere, especially with marquee games. They enhance the fan experience. I agree, and I really think going forward though, and I don't know how long we keep RAD, but I definitely think going forward we have to kind of work with the SWAC to start getting those deals done, having those weekends set up so that week 0 is for that. And if the SWAC is smart, what you do is you start putting some of those teams that folks want to see down there, but then send some of the busters down there too. Like, hey, we can give y'all week 0 OBC, and let's see if we can, get this team in. We know it's all about FAMU anyway, but let's do that. Same thing. Get the MEAC involved. And I think if you can set it up to where it's on rotation and it's that opening week, I think you got a thing there. And from FAMU side, it's the money play. It's less of you don't really care about some of the other stuff as much as, oh crap, we're getting that guaranteed check. It's gonna be this much. Cool, let's do that. You covering the band, you covering the students, you covering travel. Let's do that. And it just becomes something where it continues to build a tradition, and it becomes something where, every 3-4 years you either keep doing it or you just say, hey, let's take a break, let y'all get somebody new, however you want to do that. So that's just me. I think you begin to build in more of a travel ban as most schools do. I agree. Because it's all about the dollars. And then if we don't start going to some of them, what's going to be so great about the JSU or Southern coming to Tallahassee next without the bands? Look, you're not wrong. Only thing for this year, though, like I said, I just looked at that schedule and was like, I don't know. That's my only reason I say no to Jackson State this year, just because that's a lot of weeks back-to-back travel, especially if you hope for them to go to a place like Troy, which unless they're paying for the band, you ain't seeing no 100. I'm sorry. Unless we move up to that level, you ain't gonna see no 100. Like that's 1, 2. You got Jackson State and Southern back to back. I mean, it ain't as bad because Southern's at home, but that's a long ride. So just saying. But it dulls the fan experience. Just think the largest non-HBCU, non-homecoming game in FAMU homecoming. Oh yeah, that was fire. And I missed that one. I forgot why I missed that one, but I missed that one. That game was fire. And FAMU Southern is different when the band comes. Because remember, last time, Southern didn't bring their band in to Tallahassee. So as much as we kind of like, hey, the 100 got to go over there, I believe they owe us one because we didn't go this year because Southern didn't come. But remember the time before, the 100 went. the Southern. So some of that, and then we heard it on ONG, some of these teams owe us games. Like, I think we kind of owe Jackson State a game because last time I feel like we went to Jackson State, but there was like a hurricane, and I want to say the 100 didn't go because I was supposed to go and didn't go. But last time they came to Tallahassee, I feel like they brought the band. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong, but that's something else. And I think going forward, that's something that honestly you build in. And I think on the grand scheme, I think if you really want to kind of start talking about negotiating some of these contracts, I think you negotiate within some of these TV contracts that these corporations pay a fee so the bands can go. Because ESPN does a whole showcase for the bands. Like they literally, you can watch the main broadcast or you can watch the halftime broadcast. And when the halftime broadcast is over, it shuts down. They literally have a broadcast where they only show the band. You can't tell me that's not marketable. That's not something where you can generate some type of additional revenue. So to say, how much is that Marching 100 worth to you? How much that the Marching Wildcats, Sonic Boom in the South, Human Jukebox? I would start with them four. And whatever games they were in, I would try to see. You ain't got to, but if you want them to move, it'd be nice for you to tack on, a band fee, and you split that between the schools, and they understand, hey, this money is earmarked to go towards your band programs. These are to move your bands, to move them to the games, so that we have another part of our games. It's a talent fee, and I just think, to me, I don't think that's progressive thinking. I think that's you're subcharging for what you're getting. Like, I don't like onions, but you go to certain restaurants. I ain't gonna lie, I like grilled onions on a sandwich. Now, the raw red onions, you can keep them things. They charge you the grilled onions. Like, it's an extra dollar fee. And you're like, I mean, it tastes good. Come on, tack that on. That's $1. I think the same concept with the bands. You want the bands there? Cool. It's gonna look like this. Hey, you get your advertisers, cut a little extra check for that. That's a fee. I just think that's kind of some of the move. Like, and look, we have a bad case of selective. We just broke, and folks just don't want to admit it. Nobody cares about the band enough to pay us to come to their games. We ain't all that. Look, shoot, I care. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I am one of them people in my older days. My younger days, I didn't care. I would go to everything with FAMU in it. But man, I have two 13-year-olds, and one of them will literally ask, is the band coming? And I'm like, whew. Because look, if the band coming, oh yeah, let's go. She wants to go now. But if the band don't want to go, man, shoot, that's one ticket. That's just me. Now I got to drive by myself. Look, my Ace Boom Coon want to go though. Hey, like, I think that's something that you got to start having that mindset. Like, the band comes with a fee. And if you want the band here, hey, we need to start negotiating that and have them at the table. How much does it cost to move y'all? Cool. That's their fee. This for the team. This for the game. But and look, Marvin, you're right. HBCU games ain't the same without the band. Y'all remember what happened when the 100 was not allowed to play because of good reason. I'm not over here saying it was, it was a good reason. Y'all remember what the football games were like? Hell, they brought MC Light out there, and we was like, hey, I'm gonna go get some food. You want a rattler dog? It's gonna give you hypertension, but it's better than watching this bull. Like, it's a different vibe. It's completely different. Y'all that went to Tampa last year, what would that game have been if the 100 showed up? That game, USF game was fun. We gave them the game. their band was ready too. Their band was like, is the 100 gonna come? We're gonna play some songs. We're ready. They sounded good. They did. And what that would have been if the 100 would have just been able to come in there and just, oh yeah, we've seen them before in that, but it's a better vibe. It's a better atmosphere. It's an easier ticket to sell. Some of y'all didn't go to that game because y'all were like, man, 100 ain't coming. I'll stay home. I'll watch it on TV. Like, I think that's the flip. That's the exchange. By getting whoever's presenting to game to pay an additional fee for the band and then passing that on to your advertisers, I think you as the presenter double down because yeah, I already got the band, but now I'm literally just passing that on to my advertisers. And you as the conference, you're helping the schools because now they're moving their students, they're doing this, and you do it in selective places, selective games. Like some games should be on TV. Boombox should be on ESPN. Like HBCU goes fine, I'm cool with that. But the Boombox Classic, Florida Classic, Bayou Classic, those are games that are made for TV. FAMU Southern is going to normally be a good game. Like, just saying, like that's the kind of game needs to be on TV, and you need the band there. Like, and look, no, it wasn't. We got some. We had a decent turnout though. Go back and watch that game. Like, it was decent. Like the tailgate. Look, you must. I didn't even go over there to the tailgate. I was at the. We were over there tailgating. I tailgated with Brian and Kelvin. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was over there chilling with my family. That was fun. Like Tampa alumni showed out. That was fire. Like for those who missed it, next USF game, that's what you do. Have another thing just like that. I did the parking pass, all that. Like have a tailgate area for the alumni, hosted by Tampa. That thing was fire. I loved it. Like, and look, the crowd. So the crowd was all on both sides. It was pretty well. It was pretty well considering the band didn't show up. You go back, you watch. Look, I saw Bobby there, Swoop. Like you had a good crowd, and Tampa's not a hard place to get to. Like flight wise, like not to blow their heads up, but look, Ray J's solid. That's one of my favorite stadiums in the state. Um, but yeah, that was fun, man. Look, black folks don't chant and scream on third down like big schools and bands make all the noise. We do have lazy fans. Look, don't be talking about us. Cause look, I told y'all I ain't going to Jackson. I'm going to the UF game. And I will tell the people. I do a warning every time I go to FSU UF. Hey y'all. Nice to meet y'all. I'm here visiting. If we all sit down, your legs won't be tired in the fourth quarter. They think I'm crazy at first. And I be sit down and I give them that look. Third quarter, they're like man's got a point. White folks buy it quick with that. Like, especially you got to get the right seat though. You can't be at the end of the row. You got to be closer to the front because you lead by example. So you got that kind of front or that edge seat. They over there looking like, oh, he's sitting down. Now you stand up on the big plays. End of the game. Like we stand up the whole fourth quarter. But first through third, what are we standing for? Man, shoot. Common sense hit, boy. They take it. But look, y'all. Like I said, I think the solution, put a couple games in rotation. Especially, you really should start your SWAC schools. Like instead of trying to do so much to, hey, we're gonna try to work this out with Tennessee State. Start with Southern. Start with Jackson State. Like, especially the Jackson State games when you're the home team. Because what does it benefit Jackson State to take a game away from Jackson? Like, their stadium seats 60,000 plus. They're making so much money off of a home game. You got to topple that just to get them out of Jackson. FAMU, your stadium seats 19. Some of those years, move that home game somewhere else because all of a sudden Every couple years, when they come back to Tallahassee, it's a novelty. It's like, oh shoot, Jackson State coming to town. They don't be here every year. Okay. Same thing with Southern. But with Southern, both y'all stadiums, their stadium's like 27, 29,000. Again, Bragg's like 19. You go to a place that's mutually beneficial. I think that works as well. And that's a game that's already on your schedule. You can figure out Tennessee State. You can figure out A&T and these other schools. But start with what you got. Negotiate with the people you know and say, hey, we know we're going to play each other this spot, this time, guaranteed. And meet with Dr. McClellan and say, hey, let's get these schedules done. Let's get these done early. FAMU's already done this for this amount of years. But then on the other side, you start working that OBC for the future. Okay, we're pretty much cooked. We're done really up until 28. Now 25, I'm making that call. I'm calling South Carolina State last year. Hey, can we move that game to Miami? Like, we've done the Orange Blossom Classic between FAMU and South Carolina State. We did it in Jacksonville. Let's do it in Miami. She's going to guarantee this much money. Let's do it down there. You get more than 12,000 people. Shots fired. They're renovating the stadium anyway, so it's really not that much of a shot. But you're going to get this much money. How much money do you regularly get anyway? You got Chennis Berry. He might have a good season. Like, I think that's what you do for that year. For 26, it's a tough sell. I think you do the same thing. You try to see if you already don't have a week one opponent, can you get that week one opponent? Can you get them down there, do the same thing? Only problem is I'm not going to Miami twice. I'm sorry. I'd go for the OVC. Miami FAMU, I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't watch on TV. I'd probably go hang out and do something else. But you're going to twice the same city. 27 and 28, you're probably cooked. Like, 28, you might be able to get that in. But I think that's some of the way you start working with that. And that way you get those classes in some of those other cities. You start to shop those events, and you're shopping them with partners that really can benefit and that you don't really have to sell it to. And you're not trying to do something like creating something completely organic. It's something that this is already on our schedule. We're just taking one of these 4 home games or 5 home games out of Bragg, taking it somewhere else, making more money, and then bringing that money back home. Like, yeah. Yes. So yes, their barn does seat 60K. Like, you're defeating the purpose of getting in the SWAC if you're going to play those teams in neutral sites. Only reason that I would say the neutral sites is for the money. It's not so much of because I'm in the SWAC. I think part of why I don't think I know. Part of why you left the MEAC was because the MEAC failed. The MEAC failed expansion. Expansion 101 for the MEAC should have included Georgia. That's where they failed. When Morris Brown ran into a situation, remember Morris Brown was supposed to potentially join the MEAC. That would have been a conference where you would have been able to expand up and down the eastern coast, and you would have had them in Savannah State. So I think you would have been able to potentially add 1 or 2 more schools, split the conference into a north-south conference where you had the MEAC North, MEAC South. The northern teams play the northern teams, southern teams play the southern teams. There are no real regional or purposeful crossover rivals that you should have within that framework, because maybe FAMU Hampton, that's not a crossover game. FAMU Howard, if Howard's not in the South, like, that's it. So I think that's why you left the MEAC, because otherwise with FAMU and Cookman, you would have been an 18 league. You still got to go to Delaware State. Who was close to you besides South Carolina State? and South Carolina State's not close to Tallahassee. Like, that's not a drivable football game. Like, it's like 6-7 hours from Tallahassee. There's no flight there. Like, you're flying to like Columbia and then taking a bus. Like, it logistically, it didn't make sense for us. And exactly, those schools at that point. So I think to a certain degree, the MEAC failed to expand. So when you go to the SWAC, how often do we go to Texas in our sports that are like the ones that cost you the most money? Like, you go to Texas, it's gonna be your second time in Texas in 2 years, and then when's the next time you're going back? Like, otherwise, the farthest you're gonna go is like maybe Arkansas, Mississippi. I mean, it ain't a terrible ride. I mean, it ain't good, but you start looking before when we were in the MEAC, your closest team was Cookman, and you played them in Orlando. Then it was South Carolina State. Then Savannah State, which really ain't close either. Like, it sounds good because you're like, oh, they're in Georgia. Then you drive to Savannah and Tallahassee, you're like, this is some bull. Like, so I think the purpose for moving to classics is less of the regional, trying to preserve the regional purity of the SWAC, and it's more of you're trying to, one, expose a new audience to your brand, but you're also trying to be able to generate additional revenue that you receive from it being a classic event, it being almost a spectacle event or a niche, nuanced event, and the fact that you are FAMU, you're bringing the 100, and you're doing these different things. I think that's why you generally win, and I think that's why you do that. But yeah, I definitely think you should keep 4 games on campus, but I don't disagree though. So conference games, some should stay on campus, but I think if you rotate a few every once in a while, that's a good idea. So, all right, y'all, we'll let y'all go. Y'all know, look, we running long. Look, next Thursday, look, make sure y'all show up, man. I got Gerald from the Tallahassee Democrats going to be on here. Look, I'm going to hit up Brian a little bit, and we're talking about the transfer portal and how it changed FAMU and FSU, and just kind of looking at really, I pointed this out. Would Billy Joe get away with what Willie Simmons and Cozy are getting away with? I'm just saying. Look, y'all, hit the thumbs up, man. Please share, tell a friend. We'll be back here Sunday. We're gonna talk about some more that's happening at FAMU. Y'all see some more ideas, see what we got going out here. So for Herb Stewart, Black Techies, y'all already know it's always gonna be Fangs up.
Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started. Are you kidding me? Unreal!
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Dorsey, how